Thanks for the intro. Currently I'm working at Scale AI, had the AI functionality within enterprise. I really enjoyed the opportunity to talk to many of the enterprise customers. Before Scale AI, I spent 11 years at Google. I'm a core member of the Gemini team. In addition to contributing to Gemini development, the most relevant experience I have is I built a team to do the cloud agent benchmark for Gemini. So part of this talk really kind of capture a lot of the observations and reflections I have with these different two roles. And the talk is about the exam before the enterprise deployment. Okay, so at this moment, we're all from AI communities. And there's one thing we all know. The value of AI will have to land to produce productivities for our real economics impact. And that is not going to be happening if AI stays in the demo and the pilot. We need to have all the AIs to be deployed from pilot into production. And so this talk is really about how we get there from pilot to production. What is the gating decisions people need to make? And the question really is, can this agent be reliably deployed to do useful work inside of our organization? So things we talk about benchmark, and then we just start with benchmarks. Right now, I don't know how many benchmarks you are actually aware of, how many benchmarks are out there, right? There's hundreds of benchmarks out there. But if you look at those benchmarks, and we use that all the time, one thing you actually would realize is they really measure a ceiling. It measures the gap between what the model is able to do right now and the top of the human intelligence, right? And then when you if you are a benchmark developer, when your benchmark have a lower score, you feel pretty excited because your benchmark is facing developers, model developers as your customer. When they see a lower score on the benchmark, they feel there's a gap, there's room, there's things they need to do. They feel very excited about it. But if you bring the same benchmark to enterprise buyers, they have a completely different view. And I can share an anecdote with you guys. So when you talk to enterprise customer, we have actually a particular use case, text to SQL. The executives, they don't understand why your agent will not be able to actually get 99% of the reliability, given everybody saying agents so smart now. And then the researcher is going to show them all text to SQL benchmarks. I don't know whether you guys know what's the top of the text to SQL benchmark. They're only 60%, 70%, because people don't wish their benchmark to get saturated. When the benchmark is saturated, people don't use it anymore. But the reality is for enterprises, they really want to see that number, how to get that number into 95, 99%. So that is actually a totally different mindset of things. So this is what we say the gap is, where the current benchmark really measure the capability. You see a score, you rank all the models, and the model compete on it. It's really developer facing. But what I actually need for enterprise adoption is the deployment readiness. Is say, is this use case ready for deploy? What it takes for it to deploy. And this is what we're going to talk about. So before that, we'll just go through 5 very basic questions that enterprise buyers ask. The first one is, what is ready for production today? We have a list of priorities. But among all of this, which is hard, which is relatively ready for me to deploy? And the second thing is, how can I actually measure readiness? Because readiness is a concept. How can I quantify it? And how can I trust the outcome? But more importantly, if there is a gap, if it's not 99%, let's say it's 90%, doesn't matter how it's measured, we'll cover that later. How can I actually fill the gap of the 10%? Because I can't go with 90% for production. I always need 99 point reliability for my product to be deployed to facing the customer. What should I do to fill the gap? And it's actually not surprising because right now there's always the human oversight. And the question is, what is the human oversight policy that I can use in order to get in there? And there's also a question about the cost because if you have agent, you have tokens on this side, and now you also have human on the other side. Adds up together, am I actually saving money from the AI initiative? Okay, so overall, the readiness profile really talks about how can we do qualification? What's the risk envelope? What's the oversight policy? And what is the improvement path to get from where we are to what we want to be? Okay, so now let's get a little more concrete. From the questions, how could we actually get evaluation primitives? Okay, so the first one, can we trust the answers? So one agent produces an answer for us. What would be the evaluation primitives that allows us to actually evaluate the answer trustworthiness? I think this is no secret. Essentially, it is grounding, how we actually measure the citation precision. For every piece of information in the answer, is it grounded into a source piece of information? Do we actually cover everything within our evidence database to produce it? Do we miss anything? The recall problem. The next one is the policy compliance problem. A lot of the cases, the agents give you a right answer. But the question is, does it follow my internal policy? I'll give you a very concrete example. In working with one of the healthcare customers, they would like us to actually do a quality auditing for clinical safety events. The safety event would say, can we identify clinical acute kidney failure accurately? And in order to identify that, they basically say you have to look at the labs. You have to look at the increase of creatinine in the lab measurement to get it. But when we deploy our agent, we see the agent is becoming smart. It does a shortcut. What it does is instead of retrieval the creatinine measures from the lab measurement, what it does is it actually just look at the clinical notes, look at the diagnosis notes within the electronic microsystem to say whether this person has acute kidney failure. So it doesn't really follow the policy that is specified the clinical environment to do the job. And that's actually a problem we need to address. Then the third question, my favorite question, is does the agent know what it doesn't know? This is actually super important, and two things related with it. One is the confidence calibration. In a lot of cases, the agent would say, I'm confident 60% of the time, right? But is it really? Then you really need to calibrate the confidence that's self-claimed by the agent to the reality. Is it really 60% of the time it is producing the right answer? That's a calibration question. But more importantly is, if it doesn't know, we need to give them a policy to see when you should stop giving out answers. You need to abstain. You should say, hey, I need human errors. I need to pass it over. So this is the third thing that we need to evaluate to answer the question. Okay, I have 2 minutes, but I'll be fast. The right operations. This is where the agent system we develop interact with the traditional enterprise system. Because when you have your agent system, it's not just about the security reliability of your system. It's when the operations from your agent is actually getting to enterprise system. How do you manipulate? How do you mutate the state of your enterprise system? Is it recoverable? Is it the rollback policy there? And the last one is the oversight economics. And this is what we're talking about. If you have human oversight there, in combination, is the economics actually makes sense. Putting the primitive into a framework that how we actually organize evaluation primitives into a thought framework. So this is kind of a surface we're using in our upcoming benchmark coming up this month. The first one is we actually think about the surface where the agent is interacting with the agent system is interacting with the enterprise system. The first one is inside. We just get information for human review. And the policy is really about human review policy. What you do is you get the rate operations, and you want to see whether the question we want to verify is whether the answer is trustworthy. The second surface is actually your agent system is interacting with your enterprise system. The question is whether you change it in a way that is recoverable, trustworthy. Are you actually doing it in a privacy-preserving way without leaking your information? Do you do it in a way that you permutate, you mutate your system in a trustworthy way so that's recoverable? The last one is, we're getting there really fast. So the last one is open conversation. It's not just interacting with your enterprise system, but interact with your enterprise customers in the open conversation way. In this environment, the input is from open space end users. They could give you malicious, misspecified information. how do you actually steer the conversation to achieve your goal? So that's the 3 kind of vulnerability or evaluation services. So with that being said, the deployment profile really answers a list of questions, 7 of them. I'm not going to repeat them, just read off the slides. I want to respect the time and then just really go to the final 2 slides. Really, 2 things I want to call out here is in enterprise benchmark, what people really want is not a number to say what's the score of it. What they would like to do is to have is really 2 things. The first thing is this use case ready? But meanwhile, what they actually want to understand is what is the economics? What's the cost I need to pay to form a human oversight policy so that I could achieve my reliability right there. And the path to improvement is not a score improvement. It's not say I'm having the score from 60% to 80%, 90%. The path for improvement is economical change in the sense that initially you need a heavy human oversight. But over the time, with the improvement model quality, it's actually the cost you pay for this task is reducing. We are constrained by reliability. Reliability is not something you can trade off. What is trade off is what the policy needs to be there, how human and agents can work together in a trustworthy way. And this is my last slide. Don't only ask how intelligent the agent is, ask what it's ready to do, under what constraint, and what's the risk, and what's the cost. And that's how I hope I'm right on time. Thank you.